On the coming Thursday, the United States will go through an unprecedented period of uncertainty because there will be the first presidential debate between the incumbent President Joe Biden and the expected Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump. However, I would say whichever gets elected to the presidency for this round, it doesn't bode well for the United States because the speculation is that Joe Biden will continue his Cold War mentality. If Donald Trump wins the election, he most likely will launch the unprecedented campaign of retaliation and get even with his political enemies, both at home and abroad. Purely from the Chinese perspective, we are not in a position to exert any influence in the course of this presidential election in the United States. Whether we like one versus the other simply is immaterial. China is purely an observer, and we need to abide by the time. Whichever person gets elected to the White House, China need to deal with him as he is. I would say we need to look at China-US relations since 2017 as a continuation, rather than being divided into the Trump era versus the Biden era. I think the overall trend is that the US government, either under Trump or under Biden, is agitating for a confrontation against China. They want to use maximum pressure against China. So I don't think personal differences, if any, of Trump versus Biden really matter that much. So they, each of them is using China as the bargaining chip, for example, try to maximizing votes for its own presidential election. So I think it is the time for China to sit tight, to watch this spectacle and wait until the outcome. Now, from the Chinese perspective, we need to tell the US government and the US people, including the next presidency of the United States, whether it will be Joe Biden or Donald Trump, that the growth of the Chinese economy is inevitable. It is the megatrend of our time. Sooner or later, and I believe sooner, probably around 2030 to 2035, the overall size of the Chinese economy will definitely be larger than that of the United States. On the other hand, China also needs to tell the United States in a very firm way that whether in the past when China was weaker, or at present when China is stronger, or in the future when China will be larger as an economy than the United States, China will always deal with the United States as an equal. So while I'm pessimistic about the direction of the China-US development in the coming 4 years, either by Trump or under Biden, I'm relatively speaking optimistic about the medium term and the longer term development of China-US relations, because you need to embrace my theory. That is the inevitability of peace between China and the United States.